Hey everyone, it's your girl Rena. Welcome back to the channel. So in my last video about downtown Edmonton, I read through the comments, literally every single one. And wow, it's clear that this city's story really hits home for a lot of you. Shout out to @MissBreakingDawn who said, I just moved here from Toronto, really hoping a solution can come about. Well, welcome to Edmonton. It's not all doom and gloom, I promise. But real talk, something's gotta change. And @Tyson McViker 3829 said, the downtown core is the canary in the coal mine. It's showing us we are in trouble. Honestly, Tyson, that analogy hits hard. Downtown isn't just one neighborhood. It's a barometer for the city's health. If downtown struggles, it's a sign of bigger problems at play. And that got me thinking, if the city is struggling this much, where is all the money going? Because when you start looking at some of Edmonton's landmarks, you can't help but ask, seriously? They spent our tax dollars on this? Anyways, big shout out to Andrea for helping out with today's video. We had a blast driving around, checking out these landmarks, and trust me, you don't want to miss this. Coming in at number 4, we headed to Alberta Avenue, just northeast of downtown, to check out one of Edmonton's most baffling public art choices, the giant bat. A 49-foot tribute to, well, absolutely no one asked for this. Back in 2001, city planners were looking for ways to revitalize 118th Avenue, a neighborhood with a rough reputation. Crime, drugs, you name it. And someone somewhere actually pitched this. You know what'll turn things around? A giant metal bat. And apparently, everyone just nodded and went along with it, because nothing says urban renewal like an aluminum bat looming over the streets. The city even went all in, rebranding the strip as the Avenue of Champions, as if slapping a title on it and dropping a massive slugger in the middle of the chaos would magically turn things around. And for the bargain price of $80,000 in taxpayer money, what do we get? A giant bat. But hey, if you think $80,000 is just pocket change, let's put that into perspective. That same amount could have paid for 8 to 10 new bus shelters, upgraded street lighting to make the area actually safer, or added some much-needed pedestrian crosswalks. Instead, we got a big metal bat looming over a crime-ridden neighborhood, because nothing screams urban revitalization like a flying rodent replica. Priorities, right? Now, on paper, the idea wasn't completely terrible. Edmonton does have Canada's longest baseball legacy, dating back to 1880. So sure, a tribute to that history makes some sense, in theory. But here's the problem. A giant bat isn't going to stop crime. That's like thinking a participation trophy will solve the Oilers' playoff problems. And then there's the placement, which is where this thing really strikes out. They plopped this behemoth right at one of the busiest intersections in the city, 97th Street and 118th Avenue, surrounded by 6 lanes of traffic. No plaza, no benches, nothing inviting you to stop and admire it. If you actually want to check it out, good luck dodging traffic to get a decent look. Over the years, the community's relationship with the bat has gone from mild amusement to straight-up indifference. Sure, it spins 360 degrees, which is a fun fact most people only learn by accident, but that just turned it into a makeshift carnival ride. Eventually, the city had to slap up signs saying, "Look, don't touch," because apparently nothing says community revitalization like banning people from interacting with the thing that was supposed to bring them together. And of course, vandalism, graffiti, and years of neglect have turned this bat from a symbol of inspiration into a full-blown city-sponsored meme. So, was this a good use of $80,000? Well, I'll let y'all talk it out in the comments. Coming in at number 3, we're heading to Southgate Transit Center. And if you've been here before, you probably already know where this is going. It's time to talk about immense mode, better known as the Southgate Giant Leg and Boot, because nothing says welcome to the bus stop like a 20-foot-tall disembodied lower half. Unveiled in 2009, this masterpiece was created by artists Don Dedorando and Brian MacArthur, featuring 2 oversized striped legs with clown-sized shoes plopped right in the middle of a transit platform. And in case you were wondering, the deep artistic concept behind the boot is to greet commuters and visitors and give people the warm, fuzzy feeling of having a big friend standing beside them. Cute, right? Well, not everyone thought so. For a lot of residents, this quirky art installation quickly became less of a charming transit buddy and more of a glaring reminder of wasteful spending. Because if there's one thing the city needed, it was giant legs watching over people waiting for the bus. With a $95,000 price tag, courtesy of taxpayer money, this sculpture definitely raised some eyebrows, because this hefty chunk of change came at a time when Edmonton was still feeling the effects of the 2008-2009 recession. When people were struggling to make ends meet, the idea of dropping nearly $100,000 on a pair of giant legs doesn't exactly scream smart financial decision. Now, to be fair, the city justified the expense under its Percent for Art program, which sets aside a small portion of capital budgets for public art. But when potholes are swallowing cars whole and transit fares keep creeping up, you gotta wonder if a towering lower half was really the best use of funds. Let's talk about the sculpture itself. Those 20-foot-tall legs are made from thousands of bricks and glass mosaics. They're designed to stand on the platform, and according to the Arts Council, the idea was to celebrate all the people who walk on and off the buses and trains. Nice idea in theory. In reality, total disaster. But the public reaction wasn't exactly warm. Instead, it was a storm of ridicule. Residents mocked the design, calling it everything from the creepy legs at Southgate to Ronald McDonald's legs. Some even joked that the city must have an ongoing mission to find the ugliest, most nonsensical public art projects possible. And honestly, I can't even argue. At some point, the artists tried to defend their creation, but the damage was already done. Sure, they got a few positive reviews, but they also admitted that the loudest critics weren't just a small, angry minority, they were speaking for a much bigger portion of the public. Meanwhile, city officials scrambled to justify it. But the more they talked, the more it felt like they were just trying to slap a shiny sales pitch on a massive waste of money. Because let's be real, nobody's commute was improved by staring at a giant pair of legs. If anything, it just gave them one more thing to roll their eyes at while waiting for the bus. Now, let's head downtown for a landmark that's sure to spark some heated debates. But hey, just hear me out. Sliding into the number 2 spot is the Edmonton Funicular, a fancy outdoor elevator designed to whisk you from downtown straight to the scenic river valley. Sounds useful, right? Well, in theory. And let me explain. First off, let's talk cost. This sleek marvel set taxpayers back a whopping $24 million, pulled together from the city, provincial, and federal funds. The city of Edmonton itself chipped in $1.7 million. And what did we get for all that cash? A fancy glass elevator that takes about as long to ride as it does to realize you could have just taken the stairs right next to it. When it first opened in December 2017, people were hyped. It looked modern, futuristic, definitely an Instagram hotspot. But that excitement didn't last long, because in its first year alone, the funicular had 116 breakdowns. Yep, you heard that right. 116 times people walked up expecting a smooth, breezy ride and instead got an out-of-order sign. In just the first year, basically every 3 days something went wrong. There were 15 elevator emergencies and frequent vandalism. I'm talking smashed glass panels and graffiti art, you name it. And speaking of maintenance, this fancy toy costs around $700,000 a year just to keep running. Let that sink in. Nearly $750,000 every single year. And that's on top of the millions already spent building it. Meanwhile, across the city, potholes, busted sidewalks, and crumbling infrastructure are practically screaming for attention. But hey, at least we got a part-time elevator that sometimes works. And don't even get me started on accessibility, because with its constant breakdowns and elevator malfunctions, riding the funicular basically turned into a game of chance. Today, we actually got lucky. It was working, so we took the ride. But on other days, you might roll up, see an out-of-order sign, and get treated to a surprise leg workout instead. Seriously though, what's the point of building something for accessibility if it spends half its life out of service? Even former Mayor Don Iveson looked back at this one and basically said, yeah, probably could have spent that money better. Maybe on better transit connections, upgraded river valley trails, or, I don't know, something that people actually needed. But nope. Instead, we got the funicular, a $24 million case study in Edmonton's obsession with shiny new things, minus the long-term practicality. At the end of the day, sure, it makes for a cool Instagram post, when it's actually working. But between the constant breakdowns, the eye-watering maintenance costs, and its questionable usefulness, the funicular has officially earned its place as one of Edmonton's most baffling uses of taxpayer dollars. So, was this a $24 million misstep? Well, I'll let you decide. But if you thought this was Edmonton's ultimate money misfire, buckle up, because number one is next, and it's on a whole other level. And now claiming the top spot on Edmonton's What Were They Thinking list, the Talus Dome. You'll find this pile of polished metal balls sitting at the southwest corner of Fox Drive and White Mud Drive, near the Quesnel Bridge. We had to leave the car at White Mud Park and take a short 5 to 10 minute hike, climbing some stairs just to see it up close. But hey, totally worth it, right? Right? So feast your eyes on Edmonton's most infamous stack of stainless steel spheres, a $600,000 artistic statement that had people scratching their heads before it was even finished. Designed by Los Angeles artists Benjamin Ball and Gaston Nogues, this shiny cluster of nearly 1,000 metal balls was supposed to mimic natural talus rock piles. You know, the ones you see at the base of cliffs. Except instead of blending into nature, it just sits there gleaming like a futuristic junkyard of oversized marbles. And let's talk location. Whoever picked this spot must have been a genius, because the best view you'll get is while speeding past 80 kilometers on White Mud Drive. Now, let's talk money, because this shiny pile of metal balls didn't come cheap. A whopping $600,000 of taxpayer money went into this reflective wonder. That's right, $600,000 for a giant metallic pile of spheres. And the public? Oh, they had some thoughts. Some say it looks like rabbit droppings. Others see an abandoned science experiment. And my personal favorite, a really fancy pile of Christmas ornaments. But wait, there's more. Let's talk maintenance. You'd think a sculpture made of steel wouldn't require much upkeep, but oh, you'd be so wrong. Since its grand debut, the Talus Dome has been a magnet for Edmonton's most creative vandals. People have dented it, spray painted it, and even splashed lime green paint all over it. Because apparently, even graffiti artists thought it needed a makeover. And every single time this thing gets defaced, the city has to shell out even more money to scrub it clean and patch it up. But nothing, and I mean nothing, tops the legendary Talus Dome incident of 2023. In April 2023, a 26-year-old man looked at Edmonton's most controversial art piece and thought, you know what? That looks like a great place to climb inside. The guy slipped through an opening and got himself completely stuck inside the sculpture. What followed was a 90-minute rescue operation. And here's the kicker. There was an access hatch the entire time. Unknowingly, there was an access hatch the entire time. But anyways, they were able to extricate him safely. In the end, our curious urban explorer was fined $5,000 for criminal mischief. At the end of the day, the Talus Dome isn't just a sculpture. It's Edmonton's very own $600,000 stainless steel head-scratcher. Some call it bold public art that sparks conversation. And sure it does, except most of those conversations start with, "What the hell is that?" and end with, "Wait, we paid how much for this?" Whether you see it as a reflective masterpiece or just a giant pile of misplaced Christmas ornaments, one thing's for sure, the Talus Dome isn't going anywhere, gleaming in all its glory as, without a doubt, Edmonton's most ridiculous money waste landmark. But hey, what do y'all think? Did I miss anything? Or maybe you totally disagree with me. Drop a comment below. We want to hear your thoughts, and I'll be doing a random shout out in the next video. Until then, it's your girl Rena. Catch you in the next one.
Llorona, deja la tristeza atrás. Deja la tristeza. Déjala atrás. Deja la tristeza.